3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Still Fist. I'm just going to do a quick episode of just my opinion real quick. I know I promised that maybe I was going to have my co-host already, but things came up. We're still working on it. Still trying to find somebody. We have someone in mind. I'm talking with somebody. Don't want to let the cat out of the bag, though, because it's tough. It's a big commitment to try to do with a bunch of people and try to get a bunch of people involved. So, but I'm excited if I can get this particular person to be on the podcast with me. I think it'll be a great addition to the show. So I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to try to make everything work for everybody, and hopefully we can get that person in here soon. If not, the show will continue. The show must go on. I will have, at the end of this week, I'll have 3 fighters that are on the upcoming Still Fist card, August 9th. Make sure you're getting your tickets for that. Make sure you're checking it out. That's going to be a bomb-ass card. I'm super excited for that card. And I was going to do a couple breakdowns of fighters, or of the fights. But again, I wanted to save that to when I had a co-host with me. We could bounce some ideas off of each other, because opinions aren't as fun when you don't have anybody combating your opinion. That's why I'm always like, hey, comment on here. Tell me if you disagree with me on what I'm saying. So far, I haven't had anybody disagree. So either no one's listening or I'm a genius and you all agree with what I'm saying. So I don't know which one of those is true, but you let me know. All right. Last night we finished up with an ESPNplus card, and it was I would rate the entire card as a 7. I thought it was a good card. I thought there was a lot of good stuff on it. The main event was an early stoppage. I disagree. I agree. I think it was universally agreed upon that was an early stoppage, but at the same time, the ref's job is to stop them from taking damage. I think Aspen Ladd was eventually just going to take more damage in order to finish the fight. I think Jermaine was pretty on top of it. It was her striking is sufficient enough that she wasn't really going to mess up in that position. I think she was just going to, as Aspen Ladd was sitting up, I think if Jermaine wouldn't have been stopped, she would have came around to the front, would have landed more shots, and it probably would have put her out, because she definitely was rocked. That's what put her down. And so, it was an early stoppage, and you can just throw your hands in the air and say that was an early stoppage, and Herb Dean doesn't know what he's doing. Or you can try to look at it as, his job is to stop damage, and what he saw was nothing but more damage coming to Aspen. It's a tough one. It's a tough call. It's really not. It was an early stoppage. I guess it's not really a tough call. It was an early stoppage. But Aspen is probably not going to suffer any brain damage from it. It's probably not going to lessen her career in any way. It makes Jermaine look like an absolute all-star, makes her look like a stud, and makes her look like the number 1 contender to go in against the unstoppable Amanda Nunes. So, that it makes for a good story. Now you got this knockout artist, and then you have Jermaine, who's already fought Amanda and had a good fight against her, coming in off of a 1-punch knockout. It's a great storyline. So maybe that's the best thing that could come out of that fight. But there was other fights on the card I want to talk about, and I wanted to get into the first one I wanted to get into was early on. It was in the prelims, and it was Brianna Van Buren versus Lavina Souza. It was Brianna's debut fight, and to me she looked like one of the most impressive up-and-comers. Like, obviously she's not on the level yet to be, she did call out, she did say, give me someone in the top 10, which I love that mentality. I love that, that belief in themselves. I don't know if she's necessarily ready for a top 10, but I think that she will be in a very, very short amount of time, like maybe 2 more fights, maybe even 1 more fight. Where I was impressed with her, and mark my words on this, you will see her finishing people. You will see on her highlight reel by the end of her career, you will see on her highlight reel, you will see body shots that finish fights. She throws beautiful combinations with with body shots. She landed 3 or 4 that I can remember pretty clearly, that I was very impressed with. And not enough fighters go to the body. A lot of, you get that hunt mentality of, I'm just going to get the knockout, and they stop worrying about the gas tank. Plus, when you're hitting the body, your hands are lowering, so you're giving yourself a shot to get hit in the face, and it's not always a safe game to play. But she went for it quite a few times, and they were beautiful, and they were landing solid and clean. I think just some more work on that, and you're going to see her dropping people with body shot combinations. And then she's got great wrestling. From what I remember hearing, she went to the high school that Daniel Cormier coaches at. She left her junior year to start her fighting career early. So if I understand it correctly, she's been coached by Daniel Cormier, and you don't really get much better in the wrestling world than that, other than like if she were to go to like Ben Askren or Henry Cejudo. that's pretty much the only other two. I guess Khabib. I guess Khabib would be another one, but top four, and I don't think anybody mixes it from, other than Henry, I don't think anyone mixes it from wrestling to fighting as good as Daniel does. So, she's got a great coaching staff, if I'm hearing that correctly. And, she just looked so impressive, composed, put together, like she'd been there a million times before, and it was a brand new fight for her. And she even said in the post-fight that she had jitters, but you couldn't tell in the fight, and it's just very impressive. I think she is a name that you are going to want to pay attention to. She's someone that you're going to want to watch. I think that she's going to do some work in the division. So, again, Brianne Van Buren is her name, and I think she's a rising star, so keep your eye out for her. And she's got I think she's got to her favorite, she's the smallest person in the UFC. She's the shortest person in the UFC, and she's got a short, stocky body, which is different than any woman has worked with or been in there with. So she's got a different body type, so it's a different, anybody who has to fight her has to adjust to that. And so everyone's adjusting to her when everyone that she's fighting is about the same size and looks the same. I think every girl that she fights is going to be around Lavina's size and strength. So, I mean, it's only to her advantage that she has a different body type, and now everyone has to adjust to her, and she's just going to be working with the same body types over and over again. So I think again, just she's someone to watch out for. Then the Jonathan Martinez Liu Pingwan fight. Liu threw a beautiful knee, and I love the knee because it wasn't a flying knee. It was from a standing position. It was just from a striking position. He didn't lunge into it. He didn't jump into it. He just threw it, and it almost came up like an uppercut. It just came straight up, right up underneath Jonathan's chin and put him out. It was a beautiful knee. It was beautiful. It was textbook, and it's the type of striking that we're seeing these days is just on a whole another level than what us early fans that were watching from the early days. It's just something that it's just totally new, and we're seeing all these crazy knockouts, and it's just because the striking is just these kids have been doing it almost since birth now, because of how big the UFC is worldwide, and how big martial arts is worldwide. It's just so exciting and awesome to see. And speaking of technique and beautiful technician, this next fight, this Ryan Hall Darren Elkins fight. If you're not on the Ryan Hall bandwagon, you're a fool. Like, this guy is. It's insane to watch him fight, that he's even as good as he is, and he has very limited striking, and his whole game plan was to shoot, to try to get that ankle lock, and then throw wild spinning back fist back elbows and spinning back kicks. That was it. That's all he did. And he landed so many. He landed 2 that dropped Darren Elkins on the spinning back kick. And then he threw 2 just straight punches right down the middle because he'd been throwing such crazy stuff that Darren was not even expecting anything down the middle. That the 2 times that he threw a punch down the middle, I think those are the only 2 punches he threw the entire fight. And they both dropped Darren Elkins. It was, and it was just so crazy because everyone is just so terrified to go to the ground with him. And I am just so impressed with him. He's so smart, so intelligent, and he's so calm. I mean, you think someone who has the limited striking that he has, the limited striking experience. I think his striking is underrated, just according to what I saw in this fight. Like, he was landing the craziest stuff, and it was landing. I mean, I can't imagine what's going to happen when he starts being able to land traditional stuff that people are used to. When he can land that plus what he's landing now, he's kind of going backwards. Everybody kind of starts out traditional and then learns flashy stuff. He's starting out with flashy stuff, and then hopefully he's working to more towards traditional, and he's going to be an absolute monster. I mean, no one wants to fight him because they know if they make one little mistake that he's taking their ankle home with them. So, and then he's just so cool, calm, and collected. I mean, he looks like he's been there a million times before. He doesn't look like, he was going into the 3rd round and didn't even look like he'd been in a fight. He definitely hadn't been touched, and his cardio was totally fine, and he didn't even look like he had broken a sweat. And that is, I'm just so impressed with him. If you're not a fan, I don't know what. You can't say his fight's boring. You can't say that he fights boring. He fights flashy. You might not like his personality. You might say that he's boring as a person, but I mean, when you fight like that and you're such a threat and such a if he gets a hold of that leg, it's over. Like it. I mean, he heel hooked BJ Penn, one of the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioners of all time, in the fight game, and he heel hooked him in the first round, in the first minute. I believe it was in the first minute. This dude, he's on a different, his grappling's on a different level, and he's exciting to watch. And I was looking at the division. I was looking at his weight class, and it's the lightweight division, which is a stacked division. Now he's not ranked, which I think is absolute bullcrap. I don't understand how there's people ranked above him. So it goes to 25. He's not even ranked in the top 25. I believe so. Yeah, he's not even ranked in the top 25. And he's got people above him that, I mean, it's silly that he's not ranked. I don't know how he's not ranked. And I look at this division and I say there's absolute monsters. Okay, you've got the top 5. You've got Khabib. Well, let's go top 6 because you got to count the champ as one. So you got Khabib, Tony Ferguson, Dustin Poirier, Donald Cerrone, Justin Gaethje, Al Iaquinta. Then you drop into Edson Barbosa, Paul Felder, Charles Oliveira, and Leonardo Santos. So by the time I get to Leonardo Santos, I go, okay, let's put him against Ryan Hall because 17-3 versus 7-1. Ryan Hall 7-1. So he's. I'm getting a little too excited about this Ryan Hall guy. I'm telling you, I like him. I think he's a stud. I think that he needs to fight more. We need to see him more, and people need to take notice of him and his abilities. I think that he's more exciting than people give him credit for, especially his fighting style. And people might hate that he's like diving for the leg and trying to take that, a casual fan. But if anybody knows how hard it is to do that role that he's going for, if everyone knows how hard it is to dive for that leg and how dangerous it is, you're diving head first on your back towards someone's ankle to try to get the submission. That's how confident he is. And then once he gets on the ground, he's so confident that he's just like, okay, sure, if I mess up, go to the ground. Let's go to the ground. I think Darren Elkins obviously had a beautiful game plan to defend that, and maybe people can copy that, and he'll be less threatening in the future because but the thing is he's going to keep going for it because he knows it only takes one chance. It only takes one mistake for him to get it. So, he's like, good luck. Like, you can fight it off a million times, but he still won the fight. And it's because that's such a threat, it opens up his striking. So I'm high on the Ryan Hall, man. I'm smoking the Ryan Hall ganja all day. I think he's sick, dude. I want to see more of him. Then we had the Julia Pena and the Nico Montaro fight, and there was a lot of talk. Both of them were coming back off of a lot of injury and other stuff that they've been going through, and it was Juliana that was saying the winner of this fight and the winner of the Jermaine and Aspen fight, the most impressive one's probably going to get a title shot. And I can tell you this without a doubt that the winner of the Juliana Pena and Nico Montaro fight, neither of them are getting a title shot. That looked like a sparring match, and by no fault of either of the fighters. I think both of them were going for it, but the problem is that they were too evenly matched. Their strengths were each other's strengths. And it just looked like a sparring match. It was hard to watch, but I don't want to discredit either of those women, their skill and their ability. It's because they're both so good, and they're both so good at pretty much the same thing that it didn't translate into a real good fight. And that's unfortunate for them because I think both of them are absolutely skilled and wonderful fighters, and top of the food chain when it comes to their division. But it just did not play out well. It might have looked good on paper, but it did not play out well as a fight to watch. And that was kind of crappy because I really like both of them. But again, I think it shows to how skilled they both are that it caused that issue for both of them to almost just look like they're out there sparring. So, it is what it is. They'll both come back. They'll both get some wins. They'll both do good. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm glad they're both back in the division. Andre Fili versus Shaman Moraes. Great fight. Andre Fili, hometown boy, going out, doing his thing, filling the crowd, and caught him early and finished him. It was great. He got super excited, jumped the cage, all that stuff. So it was great. That was a great fight. John Allen, Mike Rodriguez. I don't really remember too much of this fight. I know John Allen won. And so, that shows you how great it was. I really can't remember too much about that fight, but, good for him. So I'm going to skip and just talk about the last thing I want to talk about, because I already talked about the main event. So I want to talk about the Ricky Simon Uriah Faber fight. Uriah turning 40 this year, or maybe he already is 40. No, I think he's turning 40, and going out there and beating this young kid with a killer right hand. He was saying that one of his dude last week, Sung Yidong, showed him this overhand right, and I know he's just talking up the boys in his camp, but I'm like, bro, if you're just learning an overhand right, come out and train with me, because if you're just learning an overhand right now, come train with me. I got some crazy stuff I could show you if you're just learning an overhand right this far in your career. It's just funny that he's like, he just taught me that, and I'm like, no, he didn't, man. You've known that forever. But good for you, good coach, good businessman, trying to talk up Team Alpha Male and talk about all the talent you got in Team Alpha Male. So I salute you for that. My hat's off to you there and what you're actually trying to do. But what you were saying, man, I was like, come on, he just taught you the overhand right. But no, it was beautiful, perfectly placed. So then after, he's calling out Henry Cejudo, and I think that's the only fight that they really can make. He's such a legend. He comes in after all this time off and puts out this young, hungry up and comer, and just with a power, with a power shot, which is not normally. It's been forever since Uriah put someone out like that, and so I just want to, and so I think that, and this is the money money fight for Henry. I mean, I don't think there's another fight out there that's a big money fight for Henry. I think Uriah is the biggest name in the division right now, so I think that's the smart move to make. I don't want to count Uriah Faber out, because I can't stand the King of Cringe. He drives me nuts, but I cannot deny his talent. I cannot deny how skilled he is. I cannot deny the people that he's put away in the last little bit. So, it's and how he's put people away. So, that's the fight to make. I really think that's the fight to make, and I wish Uriah the best in that fight because I want to see him win, and I'm not a huge fan of Henry, but I'll be damned if I don't give that man his credit. He's earned every bit of accolations and the respect of the fight community. So I think that's what I want to make. But I'm telling you right now, this is my prediction right now. It's on tape. It's on recording. I can almost promise you. I can almost see the headlines and what they're going to be saying right now. But if Cody Garbrandt wins his next 2 fights, and Uriah Faber is still active at that time, that's the fight. They're going to make that fight. I already saw the sowing of that seed, the threading of that needle. I've already been seeing. They were already just. They were poking at it, and it was almost that John Jones, Rashad Evans, where they were at the very first time they mentioned it, they're like, nah, and then all of a sudden John said one time, well, if I have to fight him, then I have to fight him, and then everything blew up from there. I'm telling you right now, there is going to be a Team Alpha Male split again, and Cody's going to leave, and him and Uriah. Now, this is what I'm saying is only if Cody wins his next 2 fights. I think he has to win his next 2 fights in order to put him in a position for that fight to even make sense. And there maybe could be something where, they see it coming, and so Cody splits on his own, they start talking trash, and that's what sells the fight. But I think as far as like actual competition goes, Cody's got to win his next 2 in order for it to happen. But then if it happens, I promise you're going to see that fight. It's just they were already planting the seed, already bringing it up, and the way that they both responded to it, I was like, oh, here we go. So that's all I'm going to give you guys for just my opinion today. I wanted to kick out another episode for you before the weekend, and then when I get into the actual podcast interviews with the fighters for the Still Fist August 9th super card. They're all super cards. I love them all. I love every single fight. I mean, I wish I could put my enthusiasm aside all the Utah fan base out there to make it out to every single show. I mean, the environment is where it's at, man. I'm telling you, it's the best local show. It's the best local show in so many states. Like, I can't say like Vegas, because of course they got all the money backing, they've got all the fan backing, they got all that backing. But as far as like local shows that don't have, like California also has the financial backing. As far as just the local show, the nitty gritty. We built this from the ground up. We didn't have any. We're not riding on the coattails of anything else. Still Fist is the number one. It's the number. I will put our show up against any other show. I'll put our show up against the big money shows too. Our production alone is on par with any of the big shows. I'm telling you. I know I'm a homer. I know I'm a homeboy because I'm aligned with the company, but I wouldn't be even saying shit if I didn't believe it. I would just keep my mouth shut. I wouldn't be trying to put us out there against other people. I would keep my mouth shut, but I'm saying it right now. Like, if you are missing these shows and you're only showing up like when your buddy's fighting, if you're only showing up when your teammate's fighting, you're missing out on so many great fights. You're missing out on so much great action. Still Fist is where it's at. I'm telling you that right now. So get your tickets now for the August 9th card. We'll be doing the interviews here soon. Listen to this podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Look us up on Instagram at Still Fist Fight. Look us up on Facebook at Still Fist Fight Night. And if you're a fighter that wants to fight, contact us on the Facebook page. Don't go to the Instagram page, because then you're just going to get me, and I'm just going to send you to the Facebook page, because that's where the matchmakers are. So if you want to fight, if you are a fighter, you want to fight for us, You want to fight for the best local show in Utah, the biggest show in Utah, the main show in Utah, the main event in Utah, Still Fist. Look us up at Still Fist Fight Night on Facebook. All right, everybody, that's all I got for you tonight. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I love you.